Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. In today's video we're going to be looking at a 14 terabyte hard drive that has about 100,000 games on it. Retro games, modern games, and everything in between. A little while ago I did a review of this 12 terabyte hard drive and I came to the conclusion that it was pretty cool, but it had quite a few problems. It made you disable all of your antivirus to even use it. It has a USB-B port, so I had to go scouring for a cable to even use the thing. And I had some issues with controls, but that might be because my Windows PC happens to be a Steam Deck. So we're going to see if we have those same issues here today, and if this version is any better. After I made this video before, I was reached out to by the makers of this one, PeerPrit, who told me they think they have a much better version, so we're going to see if it is truly better or not. Before even starting, one way that it definitely is better is that it has a USB-C port, so no more scouring for cables. I have tons of these at my home already. They did provide one in the box, but I've got USB-C ports coming out of my ears at this point. I did also touch on the morality of this in my previous video too. I didn't really like the idea of buying something that has loads of games you've not necessarily paid for. But I came to the conclusion that if you're just using this to play games you already bought before, if you're someone like me who has thousands of games in boxes here, and you live here, I think this is a really great way to get digital versions of your games that you can play wherever you are. So I'm going to go through a few ways of using these kinds of products in this video, focusing on this new 14 terabyte hard drive from PeerPrit that is available for sale on Amazon and AliExpress. I'll of course put links in the description. We'll see how it's intended to be used and a couple of ways I will personally be using it that I think will be applicable to a lot of you watching this channel. So first of all, to begin, let's plug this into my Steam Deck and see how it goes. This is a powered USB hub that allows us to use this hard disk drive over USB. So we're going to need to power this with the included power cable, and we're then just going to need to connect the USB-C port up to our device, whether that's your computer, your laptop, or in my case, my Steam Deck. My Steam Deck immediately made that Windows noise when you connect a USB device. And you can see here we have the 7 games system. It comes with both a README, which shows where our games can be found, and a configuration video. The bad news is, just like the previous device, the configuration video basically just walks you through turning off all of your protections of your device. So if you do want to use this as it's intended, you're going to need to disable all of your antivirus and security, which is something I wouldn't really like to do. So I am going to show you alternative methods later in the video where you can just access the files and you don't need to disable anything. But for the sake of testing, for science and education, I have disabled everything on here. I don't have any personal information on this Steam Deck anyway. And let's jump into the core program and see how it runs. So now what I'll do is I'll open OBS, I'll screen record my Steam Deck, and we'll now jump into the screen recording so you can see everything nice and clearly. So in the 7 game systems, we're going to come to Core Type R, and we're going to launch Core, the application. That is the main, core application of these hard drives. Here we are inside the system. So let's see what we have. If we just press the A button on the Steam Deck to continue. Oh, we have some jazzy music. Press fire. I guess that's the A button. Yes, it is. Here we are. Look at our systems. We have the Atari 2600, the Atari 5200, the 7800, the Jaguar, the Lynx, various other cats, the ColecoVision, as lovely viewers in my previous video told me how to pronounce. We have the Commodore 64, the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Gear, the Genesis, Intellivision, the NES, the PC Engine, the Sega SG-1000, the WonderSwan Color, and we're back to Atari again. So not too many systems here right now, but let's jump into something like Game Boy Advance, which I absolutely love. And we should have, I imagine, a fair few games. Yes, looking down the bottom, it seems we have 1,162 games. They're all laid out beautifully, showing how they would look on a Game Boy Advance screen. They play videos as you scroll through. One thing you do get when you buy a hard drive like this is you get the organization. One of the things you're paying for is everything to be laid out nicely like this. So let's see if they have the best Game Boy Advance game ever, which is of course Zoe 101. Yes, they do, they have it. So let's jump into the game, see if there's any custom bezels set up for us. I can see right away we have a nice dotted overlay here, making it look kind of like the original screen. The Steam Deck controls are all working completely fine, straight out of the box. Oh, and I think I just jinxed myself by saying that because I'm now only able to press the back button and not the confirm button. I seem to be in an endless loop, not being able to press other buttons. That is a shame. Once again, like in my last video, I'm probably struggling because I'm using a Steam Deck rather than a traditional PC setup. So this is just using RetroArch, so you're able to go through any of the controls, set them up perfectly. Let's try a different system and see if I can register more than just this one button. The buttons are working fine navigating through the main system, so I would just need to go into the RetroArch settings and change my buttons. For now, let's just try out another system, and then let's see if we can find where all the other systems might be hiding. Let's go to the Genesis, and let's see if we can find one of the first games I ever remember buying, which is Mega Bomberman. Here it is. We don't seem to have any videos this time around like we had for GBA, but I recognize that logo very well. That's Mega Bomberman, as I remember it. We have a really nice looking overlay here, a little Genesis console. Once again, we have another shader over the top of the picture as well. This time a CRT style shader. And it looks just like how I remember seeing it on the TV. And here we are in the game. Once again, the RetroArch controls are letting me down because I haven't gone and set them up. But you can see everything's working fine. And if you had a more traditional setup like a computer or a laptop, you wouldn't be having these control issues I've been running into in all of my videos on this topic. So yes, another game that's organized well, has nice shaders and a nice bezel. But let's see where all the other games are hiding, because this isn't even anywhere near 100,000 games. Aha, so when I actually selected this ComOps option at the beginning, I thought that was just the opening splash screen, but actually we can move up and down and choose various other things. So we also have HyperSpin Attraction, Techno Parrot, Kodi, LaunchBox, Play Night, Retrobat, and then back to ComOps again. So let's look at Retrobat this time. We immediately see Nintendo Switch right away. Retrobat usually has tons of systems, at least it did on the previous version that I tried. Here we have pretty much all the consoles you could imagine. We have Dreamcast, Sega Hikaru, Sharp 68000, the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, Neo Geo Pocket and the color version, PlayStation, PS2, PSP, PSP Minis, PS3, PS Vita, the Supervision. We have arcade games, light gun games, vertical arcade games, Real 200 interactive multiplayer. I'm actually not sure what that is. GX 4000, the Atari 800, the Atari ST, the Amiga CD32, CD-TV, the Megaduck, the Intellivision, Vectrex, MSX. Now these are the ones that interest me, Xbox and Xbox 360, TurboGrafx 16 and CD, SuperGrafx, PCFX, the Nintendo Family Computer, the NES, hacked NES games, the Family Computer Disk System, the Super Famicom, the SNES, the Super Game Boy, the Satellaview, the Virtual Boy, the Nintendo 64 and the Big Double D version, the GameCube and hacked Game Boy Advance games, Pokemon Mini, Nintendo DS, Wii, WiiWare, Wii U, 3DS. We have so many good systems here. We have the MSU1, which I don't know what this is, and I have a feeling I said I didn't know what this is in the previous version as well. It says the MSU1 chip does not exist in physical form on the console. It is a virtual chip created by a genius, reminiscent of Nintendo and Sony coming together to release the Super Nintendo PlayStation Super CD. This chip allows, among other things, to have new sound features with the addition of audio tracks. Okay, so this wasn't a real console, it was just something created by a genius. We have, of course, the Switch, the Philips CDI, Beats of Rage, Homebrew and Ports, ScumVM, the Sega Master System, the Mega Drive Hacks, Genesis Hacks, the Sega Saturn, and we're back to the Dreamcast again. So let's try the Dreamcast. Once again, I'm only able to go back and not forwards. So I'm going to use the trackpads now of the Steam Deck so I can get around some of these control issues and have a look at what games we have. There seem to be an absolute ton of games on here. My favorite one is always Crazy Taxi, and of course we have Crazy Taxi and Crazy Taxi 2. Other good Dreamcast games are Dead or Alive 2, Jet Set Radio, and probably many that I'm forgetting, but as I scroll through the list here, maybe you can see some of your favorites that you could let me know in the comments below. There are either 333 or 888 games. I can't figure out what that says. Anyway, there's a lot of Dreamcast games. Let's go have a look at the Xbox and Xbox 360 games. There are 62 Xbox games, and let's see if I remember any of my favorites. Burnout was a game I definitely remember having in my collection. I have great memories of playing Fable at my friend's house as well. I owned pretty much every FIFA game of the last 20 or so years until about 5 years ago. So I definitely would have had FIFA 2004, especially with Thierry Henry right on the front cover. We've got all kinds of games here, from GoldenEye to Harry Potter, Heroes of the Pacific, Jet Set Radio Future, and even Roller Coaster Tycoon. We have so many games in every category and every system that you can play here. There are 114 Xbox 360 games. There are small games like Angry Birds, classics like Bully and FIFA Street, Gears of War, which are iconic Xbox games. And talking about iconic Xbox games, you cannot forget Halo. We have Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition, Halo Reach, and Halo 3. Project Gotham Racing 3 is one I specifically remember being part of my collection and being in awe at how good the cars looked in this game. So once again, a good way to collect some Xbox 360 games if yours are in storage like mine. Let's go check out the PlayStation games now. There are 1,804 PlayStation games, 641 PS2 games, and 172 PS3 games. On the handheld side, we have 825 PSP games and 78 PS Vita games, which I'm pretty sure is the entire library. Let's have a look at the PlayStation 3 games. We have Quantum of Solace, Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, Battlefield Bad Company 2. This is a game I absolutely adored, and I'm going to have to see if I can get this working on some of my handhelds. Bayonetta, Beowulf, Bioshock 2, Borderlands 2, Call of Duty 3 and Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. There are so many great games here. And I'm finding myself having a really good time right now, just looking through the games and kind of reminiscing about all these great games I grew up playing. If we look at all games, we can see how many we have here, and we have 24,977 games inside just the RetroBat part of this system. But we of course have all these other areas, like HyperSpin and Technoparrot for arcade games. As soon as we jump into HyperSpin, I thought we'd be met with mostly arcade games, but instead we're met with PS4 and PS5. And there seem to be some big PS4 games here. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Horizon Chase Turbo, Death's Gambit, Street Fighter Ultra 4. I actually own pretty much all of these games, but on Windows, not on PS4. Let's see what PS5 games there are. Oh, there are only two. There's Final Fantasy VII Remake and Elden Ring. Wow, there are some great games on here. And suddenly it goes from PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Space Invaders. This is more what I'd expect out of this system. These are all the Taito games. And we have old collections like Street Fighter collections and Space Invaders collections. So if you'd like to play some arcade-style games, here's a good way to play them. I know my brother had a fair few of these games on PlayStation back in the day. So here is mostly where you're going to find your older arcade-style games. And then just suddenly PlayStation 4 and 5. Let's back out of this and look at Technoparrot, which I believe is a pretty similar situation. Technoparrot has games I've not really heard of. I think they might be the Japanese games. Things like Namco games and some others. Some of these games like Wangan Midnight looked really cool. So again, it's just so much choice you can pick from. Let's move on now to LaunchBox and see what we have in here. Oh, I'm sorry, Big Box. Interestingly, it seems to be mostly the same systems as RetroBat again. Let's see what Switch games we've got on here. We have Hades, It Takes Two, that's a game I like to play with my girlfriend, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Link's Awakening, and even Exhale of the Crazy. Launching the game, it seems to open Yuzu, but I'm sure you can configure this to open any app you would like. So there seems to be quite a lot of crossover with RetroBat there. I would probably choose to just use RetroBat because I prefer the interface. But let's move on to the final one for now, and the one that I'm most excited about, which is Play Night, our PC games. And then after this, I'm going to show you some other ways to use this hard drive and the ways that I probably will be using it myself. So let's see what Windows games we have here. Straight away, I'm seeing a lot of Angry Birds action going on. There are 6 Angry Birds games. We also have the Amazing Spider-Man 2. We have some games I've never heard of before, like Age of Mythology, Astroneer, and Blazing Chrome. These games are not particularly impressive, but when you move down, you're going to see things that are far more impressive, like Cuphead and Cyberpunk. We also have Darksiders 2, Darksiders 3, which I didn't even know was a thing, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Doom Eternal, Dirt Rally 2.0. There's loads of great games here. FIFA 19. Forager is a game I bought so many years ago. We have a few Grand Theft Auto games. We have Grand Theft Auto 5, San Andreas and Vice City. We have God of War, Horizon Chase Turbo again, Ice Age, Scrat's Nutty Adventure. We have some Lego games like the Lego Movie, Lego Worlds. We have Just Cause 4 and Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. We've got loads of games here. MotoGP, Need for Speed Rivals, No Man's Sky, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Outrun 2006, Pac-Man Championship Edition DX+, PES 2019, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Red Dead Redemption 2, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Saints Row 4, Shenmue 3, Shovel Knight, Shenmue 1 and 2 as well, SpongeBob and the Battle of Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, that's clearly the best game on the list, Spyro, Streets of Rage Remake, Skyrim, we have Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter Champion Edition, and also Street Fighter and something else that I can't read because it's too small, Spider-Man 2, more Tomb Raider games. This drive absolutely loves Tomb Raider. Yakuza, and so many other games. There's just so many games here to pick from. Now, if you don't own these games and you just want to play them by getting this drive, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should support the creators. But if you're someone who already owns these games on Steam, this is a great way to get them onto something like Game Hub on one of your handhelds, because you don't need to install them directly to your internal storage. You can just grab them, put them on the SD card, keep your internal storage free, and this is a much better way of playing games on your handhelds. So let's now talk about that, how I'm actually going to use these games on my handheld devices on this channel. So while the device is completely plug and play, you just need to power the hub and then plug in the USB-C cable to your computer, your laptop, or Steam Deck in this case. And then you can launch that core exe file and jump into all those games. This is not actually the way I like to do it. I don't like disabling all of my antivirus and all of those things, so I like to just simply navigate through the folders here to access the files. So if you just come along into Collections, Computers, and then ROMs, you have here all the different systems we looked through before. LaunchBox, PlayNight for your PC games, CoinOps Next, HyperSpin Attraction, TechnoParrot, Kodi, LaunchBox, PlayNight, and RetroBat. So if we first come into RetroBat, once again come into ROMs, we then have all of our systems we saw earlier, like PlayStation, Xbox, and all of the others. For example, let's come into PS2, and then come into ROMs once more, and then we have a choice of European or USA ROMs. I'll choose USA. And here are all our USA PlayStation 2 ROMs, which we can transfer over to our gaming handhelds and play. And as this is a very well organized drive, we can come back to PlayStation 2, and we have box art, screenshots, videos, and wheels. So if we come into box art, we have the box art for all of our games here. For example, 007, Everything or Nothing, Pierce Brosnan looking very cool there. We have the box art ready to use on our gaming handhelds. We also have the wheel, which is essentially the game logo. We have a screenshot from the game. And we even have a short video clip we can have looping in the background when we're navigating through our game list. So if you're going to put these into a front end like ESDE, Beacon, or Daijisho, we already have all of our game art scraped here for you to use. So it's a nice, easy, one-stop shop solution to get set up with all your games quickly. If we come into PlayNight, we then have our PC games. So we have all of the games we saw earlier, like Grand Theft Auto 5, Tekken 7, and Tomb Raider, ready to use in something like Winlator or Game Hub. This, to me, is really fantastic, because most gaming handhelds come with pretty small internal storage. I've got 256 gigabytes here, but most of my handhelds only have 128, whereas I can stick in a 512 or 1 terabyte SD card, which I can load up with games from here, and I don't have to use up my internal storage. It's also a godsend for someone like me who does shootout videos and needs to quickly get all of these games onto 4 or 5 different devices to compare them. So going directly into the folders and accessing the games is my preferred way of using this. And if you'd like a way to use this without even needing to connect up these cables, there are 2 more options for you. This is a hard disk drive, so you can of course just take it out of here and put it into your computer. If you're using a desktop PC, you can just put this in your computer and use it that way. If you're not using a desktop PC like me, and you'd also like to access it all around your network and wherever you are, you can put together a little NAS server like this. Here is the hard drive, and here is the brains of the operation, the Zima Blade. This is something I'll be reviewing on my channel very soon. I'm still tinkering with it right now. And using this, we can access all of those games on the hard drive anywhere across our network. We can just connect this PeerPrit 14 terabyte hard drive to our NAS device, power it with USB-C and an Ethernet cable. Then I can share this ROMs folder over my network and I can access it from any of my computers. For example, here on my Mac, I've accessed the ROMs folder over the internet and I can go through and grab any games I might need. And here on my Conker Pocket Fit, I've also accessed this over the network. I can come into the ROMs folder, again, grab any game I might need and just start downloading it and playing it on my device. No more scouring around trying to find games either from the internet or from all of those boxes they're in. So I do think that is where a device like this shines. So if you are looking to get something like this, your game collection that you've already got around your house or in your parents' house, like in my case, and you want digital versions of them all to play on your handheld and other devices, I can recommend this as a great way to get started or to boost an already begun collection. I can definitely recommend this over the one I showed previously, even just for the fact it comes with a nice USB-C port. The support seems very solid as well. I've been in communication with this company for a good month or two now, and they've been really prompt in replying to me. And of course, this is available on both Amazon and AliExpress, so you can choose where you'd like to get it from. Check out the reviews over there as well. There are a fair few knocking around. And today is 11/11, which is a sale time at AliExpress. So check out the price in the description of this video. It might be on sale right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much to PeerPrit for sending me this product, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye.